thinking about in terms of a better and a greater world for all people. And we can't do that by me in one corner doing what I can do to hurt you and you in the other corner doing the same thing again.
Okay.
What's up, NBA TV family? Today I'm having my third conversation with my girl, Trice. Trice and I have known each other for 20 plus years. We went to high school together, and I love this woman dearly. She is a true friend. You know, what I say about Trice, and I'm pretty sure anybody that knows her will say the same things. She is just crazy, fun, cool. That's it. Like, and I love her to death, and I know she loves me. It's not often that we can say that somebody loves us. We know how we feel, but in this case, I know the love is reciprocated. It's genuine, and I know that for myself. You know, so without further ado, I'm gonna turn it over to her. So Trice, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and you know, who you are, so everybody else that don't know can know you?
Sure, but before I get started, it's not 20 years, it's 30 years, Sean. It's 30 plus years.
You got that. You're right. Okay. You're right.
So anyway, I'm Trice. As she said, me and Sean has known each other for 30 plus years. Met in high school, and I love her dearly. I am a mother of 4 adult children, and I have 8 grandchildren, 1 on the way. I just love life, and I'm finding that I'm learning the lessons through life as I speak. So I'm just glad that I'm on this side of the fence and that I'm able to understand the meaning behind the word lesson. Put it that way.
I completely agree with that, especially like you said, you know, we're on this side of the fence. And, right. You know, as old as you are, you're lucky to be able to say that, you know.
Hey.
You know, we're getting older, but I mean, like you said, it's about life lessons, and we do have those at our age. So I'm thankful to, like you said, to be on this side of the fence and still experiencing those lessons and being able to take every day as a new day to be able to do better. So, you know, I'm thankful for that. So I'm glad you even said that. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I know that we're here to discuss the death of your mother. Can you just tell us what that was like? How old was she? And I just want to say this. First of all, I'm sorry to hear that. And I know you don't ever get over that. You just learn to deal with it every day. You know, how did that affect you? How old were you?
I was 15 years old when my mother passed away. 15, and I'm 52 now. So it's been years of basically dealing. And I never forget, I was in school. I went to Taft Junior High School, and I was in class, and the intercom came on and it called me to the office. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I did, because I was that kind of child, no telling. I'm probably was in trouble for something.
Oh, I remember.
So I get up and I go to the office, and right after they call me, they call my sister. So me and my sister basically enter in the office at the same time. The ladies say, y'all need to go home as soon as possible. Your family wants you to come home. It's an emergency. We didn't know what the emergency was, and as kids, we just glad we out of school, so we on our way home. So we walking across this field, and one of the ladies pulled up from the office, and she was like, "No, I'm gonna take you home." So we get in the lady car and we pull up in the front of our house. And when we pull up in the front of our house, it's a porch full of family members, which was common because family members always came over. So it's like, okay, well, we don't know what's going on. We just excited. We got family members at our house. So my uncle was on the porch and he say, go see your grandmother. So we walk in the house and we go to my grandma's room. And as soon as we enter her room, she busts out crying and she's bawling and she holler, your mom she's dead. So as kids, we didn't know how to interpret that, take that in. We like, okay, she dead. We knew she was sick. She had been sick for a minute, but we didn't know from what. So it's like she dead.
Let me stop you right there. I'm gonna stop you right there. You just said that she was sick. Because that was something that I was wondering about, as you mentioned that. What was she sick for a long time? Like, was this something that you all were kind of going through, and now looking back, like, okay, like you knew she was going to die?
Sean, to be honest with you, when this all happened, my mom had been sick for a minute, and we as kids didn't know what she was dealing with. We didn't know, but she had been sick. She had been in the hospital. Then she came home and she was in bed sick. She just wouldn't get out of bed, and she was sleep, 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 and she got real, real small.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know. So and then when they said that, I guess my family, I believe they knew. See,
Mm-hmm.
now it's questions, it's unanswered questions, unanswered questions that I can't ask now because she's not here. And so it's like putting puzzle pieces together now. So it's like I take it my family knew. They just kept us out the loop so we wouldn't know, if that makes sense.
How do you feel about that? The fact that they, like, we think as adults now, you shelter your kids from, or shelter the kids from, I don't believe in that, or we don't believe in that, me and my wife as parents, but I know how it was back then because I went through it. You don't tell the kids, but now looking back, that could have hurt you because you could have had that time to talk to her and find out what was really like. What do you think about that?
Okay, to be honest with you, I can't say that I disagree with the way they did it.
Okay.
Only for the simple fact, at that young age, even them saying, go talk to your mom, go talk to your mom. As kids, at that day and age, and I only say that because nowadays it's like the time has changed.
Yeah.
Back then, all you was worried about was going outside. We ain't have cell phones, computers, and none of that stuff at that day and age.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all you worried about is going outside and playing. So basically, had even they told us, I don't think we would have understood back then. It just would have been like, oh, okay, I'm just saying I have no clue. But even when they told us that my mom had passed, it wasn't like it was a punch to the stomach, even at the age of 15.
I was going to say, but you were 15. And so prior to your mother passing, had you all even experienced death? Like, because 15 is an age, like at 15, my grandmother died, I think. I don't even know. I think I had experienced death by then, so I knew what it was.
Sean, my mother's death was the first death that I've
encountered. Okay. That makes a whole difference.
Yes, and so we didn't know how to react.
Right.
But to be honest, I didn't get my big breakdown until I was much, much older. But dealing with it growing up, something's missing. And growing up as a child, you still like, okay, after that, that's when I moved out Suitland to my uncle's.
That's what I was going to ask you. So, yes. So you moved with your mother dies. Let me back up a little tiny bit to some of your, the mental developmental parts that I want to talk about, as far as, because you mentioned that she was sick prior to her death.
Mm-hmm.
So because she was sick prior to her death, and you mentioned that she was in bed a lot, mm-hmm. First of all, how much younger is your sibling than your sister than you?
She's 4 years.
4 years
younger than me. So she was 12.
So during this time prior to your mother passing away, she was in bed a lot. So she wasn't able to really interact per se as a mother would. How did that affect you?
It didn't. See, my story is kind of, my mother is what people called a groupie back then.
Okay.
My mother traveled with James Brown, a lot of stars. I have pictures of my mom with James Brown, David Ruffin, a bunch of Diana Ross, even in some pictures. She was a groupie. So she was in the army. When she came home from the army, she began to travel with the stars. Mm-hmm. And then when she stopped traveling with the stars, she came home. And then she basically not tried. That's when basically she became a full-time mom because we were with our grandmother. Our grandmother pretty much raised us.
So even before, right, that's my point. So even before she passed away, there was already kind of a trend of her, not that she was a bad mother. She did her thing. I'm not saying that about nobody, but she wasn't really, y'all didn't have that interaction per se that a mother.
Like when my mom was home, we looked forward to that interaction because
exactly.
when she did come home, it was like, yeah, mom is home. She had stuff for us. She took us a lot of places. She did things with us, and she did that. You know what I'm saying?
She was there, when she was around, she was the best.
Yes,
but more like a friend, and your grandmother was more like a mommy.
Yeah, pretty much. You can say that, yeah, because I remember it was times when my mother would try to discipline us, and our grandmother would be like, "Nah, we're not doing that."
Exactly.
And I guess because my grandmother saying, because I know eventually you gonna leave again, and that's gonna leave me in a situation where I have to take back control of these kids. So it would be things she would say and do, and my grandmother would.
Good lady.
Disagree.
Good lady, yeah. For real. Because I mean, you don't just get to come, not like I said, not to negate her, but just being real as a parent. Like you don't just get to come in and pick up and do that.
Because my grandmother never said anything negative about my mom. She never said anything, and it wasn't nothing negative. It really wasn't. It wasn't like my mom was on drugs, which that's later. But we didn't know of her being on drugs. So my grandmother, like I said, she didn't say anything negative, but it was just that we had to follow my grandmother rules because that's who we was with. So when my mother would come home and like she would try to put her foot down on things and like punish us and do anything, my grandma would be like, we're not doing that.
Okay, that's it. We're not having it. These kids, I got these kids the way that they are, and you're not going to come in and disturb that. Right. Like you said, because at a certain point, I mean, at some point, you're going to be gone again. And you got to pick, she would have to pick up those pieces. So I commend her for that. I do commend her. So I know you had left off, we were talking about, you were moving forward with with after your mother had passed away, what had happened during that time. We can pick up on that part.
We moved with my uncle Leroy out Suitland, and that's when I met you. So when we moved out there, is really where we felt like we want our mom. It was like it was a period of time, and it was like, now we need motherly advice. We need mother things. We would like to talk to our mother about this, but we knew we couldn't. But it was hitting us then that we don't have our mom. So in doing that, a lot happened. Like bad behavior, not paying attention, doing things that we shouldn't have been doing. A lot had happened where I feel as though when my uncle and them knew that my mother passed, I feel as though they should have put us in counseling. But their counseling was, we're going to get these kids anything, we're going to spoil them, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And that really didn't work for us. Well, for me, I can only speak for me.
And I'm glad, and I'm glad you're doing that because, the fact that you clarified that, because anybody can see this video and we know somebody, I didn't say that, not that your sister would, but that's good to just get that in the open. I'm not speaking for nobody, but I was going to ask you that too, because, back then, I mean, we're kids and I knew that you lived with your uncle. So, was that your mother's brother?
That's my mother's brother.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to take it back a little bit again. Now, during all of this, where is Daddy?
My mother said she was our mother and our father. Don't ever ask.
I get it. Okay.
Him. So,
That's a whole nother.
I did get to meet him, and he was, I met him, but he wasn't there.
Okay.
So I didn't know who he was, to correct that. I didn't know who he was, but he wasn't there.
Okay. So we can just leave that alone because you don't get to be mentioned on my platform. Okay. You should have been there for my girl. So both of them. If you have a different dad, he should have been there. So back to, so where did grandma go? Did she pass away because you went to your uncle?
Girl. Okay. So my grandma, after my mother passed, Sean, it was like a whirlwind, like where I say my mother's death was my first encounter with death. My grandmother's health deteriorated after my mom, because my mom, once she did come back home, after a certain point of running the streets, she stopped. And she was taking care of, being there for my grandmother and everything. So her and my grandmother became real close and in the house all the time and, doing things. So when my mother passed, my grandmother, she had a stroke. And then it's like she started, at this day and age, I would guess it was dementia. She was like, she couldn't remember things and, it was a lot going on. So she had to go into a nursing home. Okay. And let me see. When we lived with my grandmother, it was my grandmother, it was my mother, and two uncles. My uncle William and my uncle Richard. Okay. My uncle Leroy, he lived out Suitland, like I said. So it was a small household that we all lived in. So when my mother passed away, shortly after, a couple of years later, my grandmother passed away. And then a couple of years after that, another one of her sons passed away. And then Uncle Leroy eventually passed away. So it's been like all the deaths that I really encountered in the earlier part of my years was my family that I lived with.
And it was in a clunk.
Yeah.
Like it was all clunked together, like boom, 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 boom. And so speaking of that, now I know that we initially started on, the death of your mother, but not technically, because it's all about how it affected you at the end of the day. How did you feel with everywhere I go, somebody's dying that loves me? How did you feel? Did that make you feel some kind of way?
It was starting to register and hit, I would say, not during Suitland. It was after, okay, I could tell you as honestly when it began to hit, when I had my first child.
Okay.
When I had my first child, knowing I don't have help. Yeah. Because as kids, you have kids, but you're not with that father. You basically, he out there. I knew who my kid's father was, but
right.
My own family, my mother's gone, my grandmother is gone. The people who I need to connect with and help me with my child, they're not here. So it was a lot of, at that point in time, when holidays and birthdays came, I had to be stronger than I ever had to be, because I didn't like birthdays. I didn't like Christmas. I didn't like anything. I would really literally go in my room and cry my eyes out because I don't want to be here. I would hate seeing people with their families. It was like I just had something against them. But I had to be strong for my kids. So I would go in my room, I would cry, but then I would come back out like everything is fine and we're going to make everything work with my kids, because I got to be here for my kids. So I had to be strong when I didn't want to be.
Right. So when you said that about none of them were here to nurture you through this new stage in your life, like it's like everybody that that really love you, it's one thing, like I said, your family to me, but and this, I don't take this away from nobody, because for some people, their friends are everything and they become their family. And I get that. And I'm not negating that, because the love is love. But fortunately, I grew up with my family being tangible. Like they were right there. They were the ones, my blood. So I know what that love feels like where I come from. You know what that love feels like. When you experience that stuff with your kids and not liking that, not wanting to be here, how did you pull that together enough to give it to them? Because you didn't have it. You lost it. Is
Right.
what I'm
I
thinking.
did. It was just the motherly instinct, Sean. I had to be there for my kids. I'm the only one that they have. So I know the feeling that I had coming up without my mother. I don't want that for my kids. So therefore, I have to go 100 and above for mine. So everything I teach them, everything I do for them, it's going to come from me.
Mm-hmm.
So even growing up, I mean, like, I never had that outlet. Like, like how kids be like, well, this weekend I'm going over my grandmother's house. Or
Mm-hmm.
this weekend I'm going this way. I didn't have that. I was all my kids had. And then thank God that their fathers was still in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So they was doing their part in their family. So it was like I got a connection with their families, which still was real, real hard because connecting with somebody else's family and you don't have
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
it's like you get rebellious to a certain point and
Okay.
it hurts real, real bad because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
like, dad, y'all got this and I don't have anything.
Right. Right. Now, but when it comes to the kids, to back up a little bit, I'm glad that motherly instinct was already instilled in you from a child, because you had that from your grandmother. And when your mother was around, you got it from her. So the fact that you could reach back in that place and pull it out for them is a good thing, because that motherly instinct was already instilled in you. The love was there from your core. So that's a good thing. Now, going back to the resentment part, that's real. It's real. And I'm glad that you're sharing it, because that's some real shit. Like, how did you deal with that? Like to really keep it real, like hating on somebody because they getting something that you don't have and didn't, you lost that. And you're not a hater. You're not a hater. So like, how did you
It never have been, but you know what it turned into for me? What? Me talking to friends, because coming up, a lot of my friends would be like in situations where I would hear them talking to their mother being disrespectful and saying things or doing things to their mother. And I would always say to my friends, you know what? You might want to change the way you talk to your mom and the way you deal with your mom, because the situation that you in, I wish I could be in that situation. I wish I could be in a situation where I could get in an argument with my mom and I can make up with her. And I wish I could, anything that anybody do for that matter. Like if you argue with your mom, you can make up with her. You can do that. If you can go to your mom about anything that's going on, you can go to your mom about life lessons. I can't do that. I never could. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it because it was taken from me. So, I
do. I understand that. And actually it's talking to you now, hearing those things and digging back into my memory banks and me being who I am now has given me a new perspective on some things, and some things meaning some of your ways, and which were good, which were you. Let me say that. You've always been nurturing. You took that, either you got it because you didn't have it.
I got that from a number of places, Sean. It wasn't that I grew up with it. Coming up, moving with my uncle and my aunt. My aunt was very loving. And then it just seemed like everybody around was like across the street, my girlfriend, who we still friends to today. Her mother still to today calls me daughter. And everybody who I connected with back then with their mother, because I was only thing with connecting with the mom, with the parents. You know what I'm saying? And when I see that family, it'll be the family that's doing the encouraging and the pushing their kids and the loving their kids. I attach to
you
that.
attach yourself.
So, and then the parents attached to us, learning that, we don't have parents. So, everybody would be like, well, you always have a mom and
Oh,
me.
right.
And,
That's a good thing.
But then let me tell you something. Coming up in that situation, you have to be careful what you say. Because even for people back then to say, you have a mom and me, in us, well, in me, you're not my mom. And I didn't like it to be said because you never could be. But now knowing they was coming from a positive place, but back then me not knowing how to perceive it, I took it to the negative place. Like, what she means? She can be my mom. She's not my mom, but still respectful. I still respected that.
Yeah, but in your mind. But in your mind, that's how you perceived it as a child. Like you went to a negative place as opposed to being an adult now and seeing where they were coming from. But that's deep though, because that's deep. Because you didn't have your mother there. So it's like, who the hell are you to say that? You can't be my mother. But like you said, you're respectful, so you're not gonna say it. But I can kind of get that coming from a child's mind. That makes sense, though. It makes sense. So, did you, when you, now people make broad statements like that to kids, because not only there are a lot of kids that have parents that we know that aren't parents. And then adults make statements like, oh, well, we'll always be here. You can always count on us. And when those kids actually come to you, so you're not there. Now, in your situation, did you ever take any of those parents up on some of that thing, some of those offerings to you, that I'm here for you? Like when you went through girl situations, let me come to you. Did you take them up on that?
I had my Aunt Maxine, who, honey, I gave hell coming up. This was the one we moved with Sean. We stole from this lady.
I remember the name.
Maxine, yes, girl. I stole. I cussed. I even hit her a few times.
Wow.
I feel so terrible about that now, because like I say, knowing now, it's like you can see things, but I talk to her all the time and I apologize to her all the time but she understands. She says what y'all was dealing with. So
y'all didn't go to therapy, and you mentioned that. And speaking of that,
still to today, this is the first therapeutic situation I've ever been in.
Me?
I never dealt with this. Right here would be therapy for me, because I've never talked to anyone to this extent about my situation. My kids, they know, but like I tell people, even when I meet friends, it's a connect, but then it's a disconnect. You talk to them on a friendly level, but they, like I tell people all the time, y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know my story. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know how I came out. I don't talk to y'all about that. People like you, when you said, I just thought this would be the perfect platform to have this conversation. Because I told you another topic at first, but then I thought about it and I was like, I'm gonna talk about the topic that I need relief from.
That's what I want to do. And what I want to do.
Talking is therapeutic, and as you can see, girls, some things I say, I tear up just a little bit, and it can go left. But I'm on top of my game, and I'm stronger. I am stronger by the grace of God, girl, honestly, because He has brought me through. So, and I have a strong friend base. I really do. A lot of my friends are from way back, and they understand.
Let me tell you something. I'm not the best with that. So, keeping it real, because I'm a distant person that's kind of to myself. So, we all have stories. So, I'm more, one thing about me starting this right here, we all can heal some kind of way. So for me, it's therapeutic for me to talk to others, because, just as, we learning each other, and I may have some advice, you may have some advice for me. And if
it's funny because when you did that video and you said, let's talk about it, I looked at that video and at first I'm like, okay, this Sean? Sean say, let's talk about it. And that's when I put, well, let's talk about it then. I was like,
Yeah.
sit down and talk to Sean.
Yeah.
Because you one hard person to get in contact with.
Yeah.
But my thing is, no matter what, when you know somebody and you know what you know, your heart never leaves. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So we've been friends and we was like this in school. And for some reason, that connection with you, no matter how long we've been apart, it never left.
Yeah.
It
And
just
I'm thankful for that.
left.
And I'm thankful for that because those are the things that I'm working on within me. Like for me to be able to communicate and be a better friend to those like you who have stuck around no matter what. So this platform for me, because one day, believe me, I don't have a problem with being the one with the questions being asked because it's not just about I don't have no problem with that. I have no problem because I welcome it at some point because then it's my time to sit in the seat and tell my story. It's not just about me sitting there getting everybody else's information. So, I'm more than welcome to do that because then people can say, well, damn, that might be why she's like that or why she made that move or did that. Because now, me don't mean it's right or you're going to like it, but it's the reason why. Right. So, that's another time, another story for another time, but I'm definitely willing to do that. And I know that this platform going to grow. And the reason I know it, and I'm saying this to everybody, you and everybody, nothing. And like you said, you feel the vibe, you're here. And nothing that I will ever do. And this is one thing, a promise that I'm looking right in this camera and making when this thing does blow up, because I know people are going to be in line to talk at some point, and I'm here. And one thing I'm never going to do is lose who I am in my heart. What made me start this came from me, something within myself that, so it's like, what? People need somebody to talk to.
Yes, they do.
So that came from a place of my kids because they're coming up in this effed up world, and I'm not going to say the word.
And it's crazy because people have something to say. A lot of people have something to say. It's just the right time, and you basically came at the right time. Like I said, I never had this conversation and didn't look to have it, but my family always was like, you still need to go to therapy. You need to just let some things go. And I journal a lot.
That's what's up.
Out of journaling, that's where I say what I have to say and I leave it there.
And the world need to know because it's crazy because somebody else like, well, damn, I was feeling that the difference in you is they may have taken their life or, they went down that destructive path and never came back. Because they felt like, because that's a lot of deaths, like, damn, this person get me, or, this is when I get some love and then they gone and this and everybody's gone. And now to the point where there's nobody. And now I have offspring, but it's just me. Back to that. How did that with you and your sister? Are y'all close? Because was there a wedge between y'all somewhere, like as far as the, because y'all didn't have the mother and the grandmother who started the foundation.
It was somewhat, but then not. Me and my sister have always been close.
Okay, good.
It was just going through childhood things. I'd be that sister, tell her, oh, that's not your mom, that's my mom. You was adopted, that type of stuff. I would, when you would come over, I would make her feel like, oh, get away from me and my friends. Friend, and that kind of stuff. But no, my sister has always been my sister. We are not as close as I would want us to be now, but we close. We know we can come to each other for any and everything. So yes, me and my sister, we have a relationship. From me talking to my sister, she deals with the same thing. Like it'll be days she'll call me and she'll be like, yeah, I had a moment today where I was crying. It'd been times where I call her and tell her, it's been times we've been on the phone together and we just cried together.
That's
because
a good thing.
Dealing with this.
You don't stop. My mother, who's 70 something years old, still deals with her mother dying. And my grandmother died when I was 15. I still can be taking a shower and just have a moment.
Sean, let me tell you something. Oh, girl, let me tell you something. a song that come on. It can
Mm-hmm.
be somebody say something. It can be a smell. It can be anything.
That real.
I tell people all the time, you never know when that
When it's going to
feeling
hit you.
is going to hit you. And when
That's
it hits
real
you,
love.
I don't care where you are, honey, them tears, I will never forget. Just a story, I'm just going to have to tell it.
And I'm
I
going
was
to
on
listen.
a bus, and it was my daughter's birthday. And on the bus, I'm saying to myself, wow, my daughter is 20 years old. I wish my mom, well, she's 20 now, but she's okay. But anyway, I'm talking to myself on the bus about my daughter, saying that, Mom, I wish you was here to meet your grandkids, this, that, and the third. It's her birthday, and I know my kids, they would have loved to have a grandmother. Girl, as I'm saying this on the bus, girl, the tears are falling. And these ain't just like the tears, girl. These are hot, heavy tears.
These come from deep down.
Girl, and it was hitting. Girl, and I just started crying on the bus. So a lady was looking at me. I know she knew something was going on, but she ain't say anything. But I couldn't even hide the tears. You know what I'm saying? I'm like wiping them away, and I'm trying to stop. But girl, as I'm trying to stop them, they coming even more.
Yeah.
So I got off the bus and I went into my job, which was right across the street from the bus stop. And I opened every job I've been on. But however, when I opened the door to my job and I shut the door, girl, I hollered and screamed to high heaven because wasn't nobody there. I wouldn't open. Girl, I cried. I cried so long and so hard, Shanta. I thought I was going to die. I literally felt lifeless in that moment. And this was the first time I had a deep down cry. A deep, deep, deep. I never had a cry like this. That's why this one I can remember so well. I cried, and then I called my director and I was still crying. And I was like, I can't stop crying. I need to go home. And she was like, is everything okay? And I was telling her, that my mom was on my mind and everything. And she was like, okay, well, I'll be over there in a minute. And she let me go. Girl, and I still was crying so bad. And when she would call me and check, girl, I went home and went and got in the bed, Sean. I ain't get out of bed for 3 days.
Wow.
I just couldn't. It took that much out of me, but it scared me so much because, like I say, I cried so bad during that time that I thought I was going to. It felt like I was literally dying.
Yeah, it was a panic attack. It was a panic attack mixed with emotions.
I found out that's what that was when I went to the doctor. They said that's exactly what it was.
Absolutely. And the panic attack was mixed with real emotion. And then there's the chemical aspect of from a medical standpoint. So those two things mixed together, when they hit you, there's no fighting it. I mean, prayer helps, of course, you pray, but from a medical standpoint, it's hard to come out of those stupors. It takes a lot. But I think it was good because, like you said, prior to that, you had never spit up all of that stuff. And it happened to be something with your kids that made it come out.
Because my kids, even now to today, if a song come on, I be getting ready to sing the song and I notice that the song changed. And then if I be like, well, why you turn that song off? My daughter say, Mom, because you cried during this song. And I didn't grasp that till my daughter said it one day. And I was like, well, wow, okay. I didn't even pay attention that I cried during this song when it come on, but my daughter, she pays attention.
So she knows it's a trigger.
Yeah, so she be like, I don't want to hear you crying. I don't want you to cry because it bothers them when I cry. So
right. So dang. So when with all of that, how have you found a way to pull everything together and be, for instance, here right now, smiling, looking healthy? Does the inside look as good as the outside?
It don't.
Okay.
Because still the pain it's always there. But I have learned you deal with it. You suppress it and you just bring yourself back.
Hold on. Suppress. Why suppress?
Because as much as you want to deal with it, you can't, at that time. So
Okay.
you just learn how to just push it way down
Okay.
and put other things on top of it to make you smile and move on. And
Okay.
it works for me.
Okay.
It really
Okay.
do.
Right.
It works for me because, like I say, I find journaling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Journaling is real good because, okay, I did do a grief counseling class through my church.
That was good. That's good. I mean,
Um,
that was good. I wasn't there. I don't
and
know if that was good, but that's good.
girl, when I tell you, they said so many things, but I only did a couple of classes, and I'm gonna tell you why. What happened? Out of me,
Oh.
out of me dealing with my pain,
Uh,
I was finding that people was dealing with deeper issues. And even though for me, I always can put somebody else before me.
mm,
I just always been that kind of person. So when I was in this class and I was like, I'm sitting and I'm there because of the death of my mom. It
mm,
was one girl who was there who was like, she was giving her child a bath
mm,
and her mom knocked on the door. She thought she had unlocked the door, but she didn't.
mm,
So she
mm,
put her child in the tub. But
mm,
the child was, I think, was like 2 or 3, something like that. I don't know. And she said it wasn't a lot of water, but she just ran to open the door for her mom. And when she came back, girl, her and her mom witnessed her child dead in the tub.
holy crap.
Girl, how could me?
Uh-huh.
I'm dealing with the death of my mom, and I'm at this age and this bend, but this girl, she was younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that? How do you deal actually seeing your child dead and you was just with your child, if that makes sense? You know, you was
Yeah.
just interacting. You just ran to open the door. She said she wasn't even gone a good minute or so. She didn't think the
Right.
door, bathroom,
Yeah.
but the child was dead. And listening to other people's stories, I just was like, you know what, Trice, we got to get it together, and
Yeah.
we gonna
Yeah.
be fine. And I just, like I say, I just journal a lot. I talk about it more now
Mm-hmm.
when I to my kids and
Mm-hmm.
to my sister,
Mm-hmm.
and then like I said, journaling.
Mm-hmm.
But like talking to you is
Yeah.
it's good. But it's still I still have them people, like I have a friend now who I really don't deal with too much because it rubs me the wrong way. But she has a mother. Her mother is older, but that's her story. But anyway, I feel as though she mistreats her mom, and
Mm-hmm.
I just totally be like, you have no clue. You only get one mom. You
Yeah.
only get one, and when that one is gone, there's no one ever like your mom.
It's not.
You will
Now,
never be able to
I do
call nobody
agree.
else your mom.
I do agree. I do agree. Although I will say at the same time that I agree with that, you do reap what you sow, and so to those parents out there that did not treat their kids right or that aren't treating their kids right, to those of you who know who you are, your butt, your ass will get old one day. And if you don't treat your kids right, ain't no
And
telling what.
another thing, if you have parents, I don't care what pain or what they did to you, make it right,
You
please.
got to, because y'all are both
Make
still
it right.
here. Now, when it comes
You
to
have
that,
the
and
opportunity to
I
do
would,
that.
I would love to have a conversation with anybody that would challenge me to that conversation, because I think that, well, not challenge, but talk about it. Because my thing with parents, that some parents don't admit, so you can't fix it. When a child brings things to your attention, you can't just brush it off or make excuses up as to why you did things. You have to acknowledge their feelings. And then and only then can you begin to change. We know you had your reason because you wouldn't have did it. But you got to say, I'm listening from your perspective, not from what I did. So parents make a lot of mistakes. And I mean, we're human.
Girl,
But
and I tell people that's my thing. I tell people parents aren't perfect. We weren't
no,
meant to be. No one
no,
here
no.
is perfect. So my thing is, what people need to do is take more time out and try to understand the situation instead of judging it.
Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
you understand, like my mom, we never could understand as kids why mom wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know now, but she loved to travel.
Mm-hmm.
When she went to the army, then she came home, she was traveling, and then I guess, she found her peace outside the house.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, as mine, I looked at that situation, I was like, okay, my peace came with being with my kids.
I was gonna now let me be real with you. Now, this again, I never I unfortunately didn't get the chance to meet her, and I wish I could have, because I, again, partly would have loved her, because I love stuff like that. She actually did stuff. She saw people that, so I love history. I would love to have heard about her experiences. But coming from a mother, and this is nothing, she's gone on, rest her soul. But coming
Right.
from a mother now, I don't have no tolerance for certain things with understanding certain things. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to understand that, because a mother is your mother. I just saw your child, that's a mommy. So how do you feel about that part? Like, keeping it real.
Her not being there?
Yep.
Sean, when I say with that, it's a lot of unanswered questions. Okay. I can't judge my mom.
Okay.
I don't know what went on with her and her mom. Okay. So see, because I can't have the conversation with my grandma to find out why my mom was not there, or talk to my mom about what went on. I just know, talking to my uncles who were still here, she was very defiant too. Her and my grandmother just used to clash all the time. Why? I don't know.
Right.
But and as kids, you don't think to ask those questions. It's like now you would be like, okay, if I could ask my grandmother to ask this, and if I could talk to just one more time, just to get these puzzle pieces in place, because I still have a big old puzzle. I have pieces that's missing because I will never get the answers to.
Yeah.
So do I judge her? Did I feel a certain way about her? No, I loved her because she's my mom, and that was just that. I can't judge her on anything else but how she was with us when she was here.
Right. Okay.
I just know I was always going to be there with my kids. I ain't never want my kids to feel like they was put off on somebody or anything. Girl, I'd be that one. If I did let a family member keep my kids, girl, I'd be on the phone like, hey, how you doing? Girl, then that'll be all you'll get, because my ears is in the background, like,
oh yeah, okay. right.
Oh, that's Tonio crying. So don't worry about it. I'll be there in a few minutes. You know what? I don't even want to know why Tonio crying. I mean, I want to know why Tonio crying,
but I'm coming.
I need to be with my kids, because then I know what's going on with my kids, and I had big trust issues with the other families keeping my kids. I just
I get it.
I got it myself. Let me raise my kids the way I'm gonna raise them, and I feel like I did a damn good job with my kids. Even hearing from them, me and my kids are really, really close.
That's the way. To me, that's the only way. I don't feel like there should be anything else. Is just unheard of. If it's not that way, parents, you drop the ball somewhere. I'm sorry. Somewhere, because it starts with us. So if you don't have somewhere you drop the ball. Can you get it together? Yeah, but you need to acknowledge that you dropped the ball somewhere and pull that child back into you, because a lot of times those are the kids that are going out here killing people, shooting stuff up. It starts at home. We as parents need to really be parents.
You know what people ask me a lot?
What?
And you ain't turned to drugs? You're not on drugs at all? I'm not on I never have been. I never smoked, never drink. I have taken a drink, but to get drunk, no.
That was a good one, because I did not. It's funny, and I'm surprised I did not ask that question, and I'm glad you did, because a lot of people would want to know that, because kids would typically turn down that route. But you never did venture down that route, and I didn't mention it, but because we had dropped off after a while, so you could have taken that path. That was a good one. So that's definitely a good thing that you didn't venture down that road.
But seeing what, another thing, my mom, when she passed from AIDS.
Okay.
My mom used to share needles,
Okay.
and she did other drugs of
Mm-hmm.
her choice, which
Mm-hmm.
I mean that was the thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
So do I have any ill feelings about that? No, I don't.
Right.
My mom lived a happy. My mom she did some stuff.
Right.
So I looked at her like she lived her life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what she did, that's when I first learned about AIDS, was
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
when my mom passed. That's how I learned about it, because
Right.
that's what she passed from.
Okay.
I didn't want no parts of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So me as a child, knowing
Okay.
that's what my mom passed from,
Yeah.
I ain't know what drinking would have did, but I'm
But
feeling it
still,
would have
I
did
can see
something.
that. I can see that doing something to the brain. Like if that's involved in, if these two things are related, I don't want no parts of
Parts
none
of
of that world.
it.
So yeah, I can see that. That makes sense too, which was
Because it was
good.
things when we did go out with my mom, we witnessed. My mom she dealt with women.
Okay.
We witnessed that. She smoked. She did drugs. But she lived a life.
So she
She
was a
never.
functioning. She functioned.
She did.
Okay. Okay.
But she was with
Wow.
women for a fact, and she was with men.
Wow.
She had girlfriends, and she had girl.
So that's funny because you remember, and it's make you remember stuff when you start thinking about it. Like, hold up, I do remember this.
My sister always be like, "How do you remember that?" I'd be like, "Oh, because I can remember. It's just like day and night. I remember my mom being with a woman in her house, in her bed." And we sitting right there, but and that's why I tell parents also nowadays, be careful what you do around your kids, because they don't know, and they know. But now, but back then, did I know she was with another female?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. I just thought they was friends. But growing up, knowing what I know, I seen, oh, it makes sense now. But hey, that was the life she lived.
Right.
And
Wow.
still no ill feelings, but it's certain things, like I say, I can put together. Like, okay, she liked men, she liked women, she had fun, she was very outgoing, she liked spending money, she liked to have fun. A lot of that stuff I got from my mom, because I'm very playful with my
Yeah.
friends. I
Yes.
like playing, I like
Yeah.
laughing, I just like having fun. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm outgoing, I like to travel, I like to do all that.
That's
None
that
of
part of
that
her.
came to after my kids got of age where they could take care of themselves. None of that came.
Wow.
I never traveled. That's why now people be like, Trice, you stay on the road. Every time I see your Facebook page, you somewhere. Yeah, because I can travel now. I can do things with a clear mind now. Back then, it was like, if I go somewhere and my child need me, I got to be within arm's reach to get to my child, to be, for my kid. I'm all they have. So
all that you experienced built you up to be that way.
yeah.
And it's funny because the way you talk about it is it appears to have been very calculated. Like you made sure that you did. You know how some things just happen and they fall the way they may, but it's like the way you did it, it was like, I'm doing it this way and I know this is what I'm doing.
I made sure my T's was crossed and my I's was dotted.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Right.
yes, yes. And I just love it now. Even when I talk to people, like when mothers pass away now, it's a way that I talk to them. Because Sean, let me tell you something. I've lost some friends over the years for saying the wrong things. They just rub me wrong. Like you will get people that actually say stuff like, "You still grieving?" For
Wow.
some reason, that right there, you didn't think before you said what you said, and I get that. But you said it to me, and
You're gonna get what's
for
coming.
me not to react is an issue, which I had to get there, because back in the days, honey, it would have been something. But I've learned now I've learned to tell a person, you never say that. You don't say that. You know what I'm saying? And that's by going to church and everything. Because my pastor say, girl, my pastor's funny. He say, stop telling people that your loved ones or your friends or whatever, they gone to heaven now. You got a flower in heaven, you got an angel. Stop telling people that. Just shut up, because you don't know what they are. You don't know where they are. You know, he say that. And it's true. You don't know where
No,
these
my
people
mother is one to say that
don't
like a
say
lot. You don't know where they are.
and you don't know how a person feels, so you don't just.
No.
You say sometimes the best thing is to say is not to say nothing. But I've had people be like, "You still grieving, and you should be over that by now." No, it's you don't get over
You
that. You
don't.
don't.
And more power to you if you want to fake as if you over it, if you really loved, because you don't get over that. Like you don't. Like I said in the beginning, to this day, I loved all of my loved ones. My family, I grew up very, very close to my family on my mother's side. And everybody who has passed away, I honestly loved very much. It wasn't like, oh, well, I didn't really see them all the time anyway. Like, no, I loved all of them. But my grandmother was my grandmother. So that's why I use her the most. Like, she set the stage for all of it. So when I lost her, that devastated my being. Like, so
And
even to
when
this,
did you lose her?
I was 15.
Oh,
So, and
okay.
at 50, I still to this day can, just a thought can bring tears. So let the right time or whatever it may be, but I'm not fighting it, because that's
Right.
how I feel. It's real. I know that lady, I know she loved me. So those tears or whatever she gave to me, that ain't going nowhere. So anybody to say that, you don't know what real love feel like.
Yeah. But then you have to look at that person. You have to pray for them. You have to be like, they don't know. And
Yeah,
everybody don't know. So we
they
can't
don't.
judge
You
those that
can't.
don't know.
You can't know.
But I do talk to the ones when they lose their parents, and I be like, look, you're going to go through some stuff. All I can do is tell you, you're going to go through something. And what worked for me, now it worked for me, it may not work for you. But I encourage people, journal, talk about it, pray on it.
Yeah.
And deal with it when the time comes. Because when it comes, you ain't gonna have no choice but to deal with it.
Okay, because
That
we
pain
all
will
going.
hit you in the gut of your stomach, honey. And when I tell you, when that pain hits you, woo, child.
Yeah, it ain't nothing like it. It ain't nothing like it. And yeah, unless you have experienced it, you don't know what it's like. So to me, the moral of,
and I tell people who had their parents, you don't have no clue what's to come.
no, you don't.
It's so funny because my kid's father, his mother passed, but honey, he never could understand the mood swings, the attitudes, things that would happen. I would be up 1 minute, down 1 minute. I mean, and like in the conversation, I can be playful now, but then it'll flip real quick. I don't feel like playing. Then it could be I have an attitude today and not know what the attitude is for. People would be like, I would literally do some stuff, Sean, and be like, well, golly, Trice, you ain't even had to do all that. Just thinking of what I've done. And be like, you just did too much.
Yeah.
And we'll have to go back, and I don't mind. If I have to apologize 101 times for something I did, I'm that person. I will apologize.
That's
Does it make it right for the person who we keep apologizing for? I don't know, but all I know is, okay, I did catch an attitude, and I went too far with my attitude, but I'm dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I'm dealing with it. So but now his mother passed away a couple of months ago, and honey, he just be going through, and I'd be like, I try. If you would have paid attention to what I was going through when we used to talk about it, you would know. Not to say that because I went through it, you understood, but now he say all the time. Now I see what you mean when you say about the attitudes and the up and down and not wanting to be bothered, because I'm a person. I'm a people person, but at the same time, being around people, I can seclude myself.
Mm-hmm.
Where I can be around a lot of people, but honey, I'm not there.
Right,
Up
right,
here,
right.
I checked out. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
enjoying the atmosphere and being around people
Mm-hmm.
and the love. But
Your
I'm
mind is
somewhere else.
somewhere else. Yeah, but I
Somewhere
get that. And but your physical being is your physical is enjoying the moment. But your
Right.
mental and your mental, I guess we can control it to a certain extent, but when it wants to do what it wants to do, it does what it wants to do.
What we want to do.
And
Yes.
I definitely get that. And
Mhm.
you can try and people can try and fake like it don't. But if you've ever experienced grief or, like panic or anxiety or even feeling the butterflies, that's that feeling where
And
the
it takes you to
brain.
get here to actually understand people. This situation also teach you a lot about people because, like,
Mhm.
when people have attitudes on the job and people be like, "Well, she stayed with the attitude," you don't know what she's dealing with at home.
Right, right, right.
You
Yeah.
don't know what she's facing, what deep rooted. You don't know. So if you don't know, don't go at the person. If anything, don't say nothing to them. Leave them
Mhm.
alone. Or the best, worst, most positive thing you can do is smile, say hi. If you ain't got nothing else, hey, how you doing? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
go
That,
on your way.
that does
At
not
least
hurt.
they will know you did smile and you did say hello. You spoke when others just
Yep. Yeah. Because when they come out of that stupor or whatever they're going through, they'll always remember that smile that you gave them, not being on the same level as them, matching that same negative energy, because they may not know they're in that.
right,
So when they come out, they're able to see, well, damn, you didn't do this to me.
right.
And for that, I apologize for me reacting like that. So that's
Mhm.
why I try my best, let me say, because everybody a work in progress to be the best I can be. Because I can't feed off of you. Like I have control of me. So I'm in control of how I react, how I do things. And so that way, whenever you come back to me, you're gonna be like, damn, I appreciate you or respect you for not treating me like that when everybody else was a certain way. So with all that said and done, I'm gonna wrap it up by saying that, or you gonna wrap it up rather by telling everybody, tell everybody like what you feel they can do as the child. I'm sorry, as the parent. Now as you as a parent, what advice do you have, on the other end, like be there for your, as far as like what your mother didn't give you. Let me just say that. Not your grandmother, but for your mother. Like you
Everybody's
have.
parenting is
Let me back
different.
up. Let me
So
back up. Let me back up real quick. Let me back up. When I say that, and I mean because the fact that my mother can die tomorrow, and I will have unanswered things about her because I don't know everything, but not
okay.
that many puzzle pieces missing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that many missing. And we talk so
Mm-hmm.
much. And it's been since a child.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say to parents now? Because they could die at any moment, like
Right.
yours did.
Take time out and spend time with your kids. Don't just send them off to different places or any place. Spend time with them. Get to know your kids because a lot of kids nowadays they are the way they are because they don't have that relationship at home. They go. I find that a lot of kids now get relationships outside the home, talking to other parents and other people who are misguiding them and telling them the wrong things. And when you, as a parent, you had the opportunity to talk to your child and tell them, but they feel as though they can't talk to you because you probably did could have been or had it been that parent or going outside or leave me alone or and you like I said, you don't know what parents dealing with. So, some parents they didn't get that love. So they really don't know how to love their child or how to talk to that child. But it's all in relationships. It's relationship goals. Build that relationship with your child, with your parent.